from deltacx.com, and it's time for our last podcast of the year. This will be episode 90, Strategies to Reinvent the Customer Experience. And this is a new conference presentation that I recently wrote and premiered, and we're going to do it today live, taking your questions live. Of course, I will go through the presentation first. It runs about 25 minutes, and then I'll go back and read any of the comments and questions that you've left. So just leave, if you're watching live, just leave comments and questions as you go. And if you are watching this later, hello in the future. So this is CX and UX strategies to reinvent the customer experience. And it's my take on the 5 key strategies that we should be looking at in order to improve the customer experience. And I think I've got my slides working today. Wouldn't that be nice? So let's do this. Okay. So quick introduction for me, if you're just watching this from the Micro Lessons and Conference Sessions playlist. I'm Debbie Levitt. I've been working in CX and UX since 1995-ish. I'm a strategist, architect, designer, trainer, and speaker. Delta CX, as you see here, is my full-service CX and UX consultancy. We are change agents who take on CX and UX projects, defining and improving CX strategy, building your CX and UX practice and teams, and improving collaboration across departments. Clients like to call me Mary Poppins because I fly in, fix everything I can, sing a few songs, and fly away to where I'm needed next. Now, this presentation was written more for managers, leaders, and executives, but I'm hoping everybody will give a listen to it because if you like it, I hope it's something that you'll share with your management, leadership, and executives, and hopefully spark some conversations and some change. Of course, follow me here on the YouTube universe. You're already here, so that's great. Or you're listening on the audio-only podcast. And for those of you watching the video, you'll see that I have a little camera icon popping up on my screen. This is just something I do on all of my slides so that people know when that slide is done animating, and if they want to take a picture or a screenshot, it's ready to go. And you see, Ekening says, "Woohoo! The slides are working today." Yeah, that was last week, and that was my fault. So let's jump in. Here we go. Your strategy and processes around your customer experience need reinvention. How do we know? Think about the last website, app, or system you used that you really loved. It solved your problems. It helped you get your tasks done efficiently. It was like someone read your mind, really understood you and your needs, and built it just for you. Did you think of one yet? Would your customer put your company's products or services on the list of what they really love? Unfortunately, most likely not. They might be loyal for now. You might be successful and growing. But there are opportunities to create a strategic shift that will improve product, company culture, and profits. If our companies are claiming to be agile, lean, customer-centric, or more recently, full of empathy, why is our product garbage? Nouveau, Agile, and Lean allow engineering to control non-engineering domains, pushing them for speed over quality. CX and UX are the square pegs being hammered into the round hole or thrown away for not fitting in. For example, if thorough customer research doesn't fit into somebody's idea of agile, research is derided and reduced or eliminated. When a project needs CX, research, architecture, design, testing, and iteration, I tend to hear, that's not lean or agile. Engineers get sprints and weeks to code, test, and finalize their work. But instead of planning for my processes and tasks, I'm given a few days and told to make my best guess because we'll figure it out when it's released to the public. This is super high risk, and many leaders and executives don't even know this is going on. They're told teams are working efficiently. Maybe, but at what cost? People cutting corners to declare that a project is good enough to release to the public, well, that's very subjective. But what is good enough in the eyes of our customer? Joe Rohde, who just retired like last week from being senior vice president at Walt Disney Imagineering, said in 2018, quote, "One should not be asking the question, how little can we get away with, but rather, how much can we afford to do to be really impressive?" End quote. This is the quote to hang on the wall, and it's how we start reinventing the customer experience. So here's my 5 strategies for reinventing the customer experience. Delicious beverage. When I speak at engineering, agile, and lean conferences, I ask the audience to raise their hands if they've ever known while building something that it wasn't right for target customers. Every hand goes up. They know that they're building something of poor quality that might have to be fixed or undone later, but nobody's empowered to say anything. Like assembly line robots, they're being judged by how much they get done. Creating a higher quality product means spending more time and money up front. Instead, someone declares, "We'll fix it later." We hide that fix in another budget while celebrating as a success the original project that caused the problems. And isn't it amazing that we never have time to create a better product now, but we'll have time later to stop a future project to fix this old one? We all want and expect quality everywhere, but are we delivering products and services that our customers see as high quality? Did you invest time and budget into finding and testing the right execution of the right idea? If your app has terrible ratings, customer support is drowning in complaints, and some customers have been jumping to competitors, can we congratulate ourselves for having an efficient engineering process? We must start measuring the quality of products and services by how our customers measure the quality. Before, during, and after a project, we must research to learn if customers would give this feature 5 stars out of 5. Plan for CX concept testing and iteration before engineers write code. This will allow us to know the right directions for products and features very early, before we're burning engineering's time and budget, or releasing something to the public that we'll have to fix later. Strategy 2. We are grounded in qualitative research. Some marketers love net promoter scores. You'll hear that customers that give us a 7 or higher are loyal, but those that might be scoring us lower than 7 are susceptible to competitive offerings. Well, 100% of our customers are susceptible to competitive offerings. Competitors might have lower prices, more features, or better features. People are loyal until they're not. And surveys can suffer from poorly written questions and answers, as well as a variety of problems including non-response bias, voluntary response bias, and bias when people answer with lies. Quantitative data from surveys and analytics packages rarely give us actionable data about how customers perceive quality and where we got that wrong. Without recently done, correctly undertaken qualitative CX and UX research, we can't really begin to know which projects to prioritize. Deep, broad, and current qualitative data about customers guide which features to build, products to create, products and service lines that we should offer, and the strategic direction we should take. Compare analytics to proper qualitative research. Here's me, a month or so ago, doing a live remote 1-hour observational research study. She was showing me how a browser add-on she uses gives her keyword data that she'll then use to describe an item she's listing for sale online. I didn't ask her if she uses browser add-ons for keyword data. I asked study participants to show me how they list items on marketplaces where they sell. The insights are naturally discovered because my team and I know how to correctly plan, recruit, interview, observe, distill, find the insights and patterns, and then suggest actionable improvements. If we're not so good at any one of those things, this research could be flawed or a waste. Who does your research matters, which will be strategy number 4. You must continuously do fresh research to determine how customers' attitudes, behaviors, and needs change, especially during a pandemic, recession, or job loss. This is learned from observing and talking to current and potential target customers. You're unlikely to discover details about behaviors, workarounds, and tasks through a survey. A/B testing doesn't tell us this. And people tend to be less honest in focus groups because others in the room are surely judging them. You can't replace qualitative research. Without great research, we're guessing. Agile, Lean, and Six Sigma would tell you to stay away from the risk guesses and assumptions bring to our company. Strategy 3, Customer-Centric Ethics. Here's a form I had to fill out before downloading a free software driver. I had no choice but to opt in to communication. Is that ethical? Am I still opting in if it's not optional? Where are the terms and conditions? Is this customer-centric and based on my needs and tasks? Did someone decide to force people onto the mailing list while claiming they had empathy for users and they really keep customers in mind? When a company wants to force or trick a user into doing something they wouldn't normally do or really don't want to do, we call these dark patterns. I posted this to LinkedIn, and 2 guys showed up to say this was absolutely not a dark pattern. One was a client account executive, so one of your sales guys, and the other had the title of Senior Strategic Planning Analyst. Between the 2 of them, they said that this was a great sales strategy. They said, I must stay on the mailing list forever because that was the deal. They said GDPR isn't an issue because it's clearly marked and I wasn't forced to fill out the form. They said this is a fair exchange of goods. The driver is a good, and evidently I am a good that I can trade. Wow! They sure are ready with a lot of excuses. Did you notice that? They had more, but I edited this slide for time. They did admit that it was not consumer friendly, but they strongly believed that this was a good way to make more people receive the company's sales and marketing efforts. It's getting easier and easier to recognize wording, products, workers, and companies who aren't really customer-centric. Remember that one of these guys was a senior strategic planning analyst at a company on Forbes Digital 100. Are your strategists recommending tactics and strategies that they know aren't consumer-friendly? These gentlemen and their techniques are dinosaurs, left over from a past where we had little regard for what our customers needed, wanted, or preferred. The business goals were our North Star. Dinosaurs like this probably still work at your company, and they affect your decision genome. Decision genome was coined by Mike Davidson. I've edited this for time, but it's mostly a direct quote from his blog. Quote, with each decision a company makes, its decision genome is established and subsequently hardened. You've decided to employ a single dark pattern to trick users into adding more things to their shopping cart. Part of your genome. The reason this matters is that what may seem like small decisions early on become the basis for many more decisions down the road. These decisions affect your ethical trajectory as a company. Maybe adding things to people's shopping carts was pretty minor, and you were able to rationalize it internally, including the fact that the extra item in the user's cart was inexpensive and provided value, like a warranty. Down the road, when employees want to employ more dark patterns, here's how the conversation would go. Greg says, hey, we aren't getting enough people to opt into our mailing list when they sign up. Can we try maybe unchecking that box by default, but using language such that leaving it unchecked opts people in? Desi says, wouldn't we be intentionally deceiving users if we did that? Greg says, we already add things to your shopping cart that you don't ask for. Desi says, true, this seems like less of a big deal than that. I guess I'm okay with it. When faced with making a product decision that is even mildly uncomfortable, employees often first look towards expressed company principles like always put the customer first. But the next thing they look for is precedent. It's an easy way to inform your current decision, and it's an easy way to cover your ass. The company you may want to be is often written in things like core values that are displayed in lunchrooms and employee handbooks, but the company you will be is a product of the actual decisions you make, especially the tough decisions." End quote. In the old days, when what the customer needed didn't overlap what the business wanted to do or sell people, you hired more marketing and salespeople to try to figure out how you were going to make people think they want this. Those are the dinosaur days, but they're not extinct just yet. Agile declares that our highest priority is customer satisfaction, and that we must proactively get qualitative feedback to feed back into the system. This influences how we adjust our goals, plans, and strategies to better match what our customer perceives as quality. Therefore, instead of our Venn diagram looking like customers' needs and business goals are on two distant islands, we must bring these together. That's not done by pushing customers into what we think we can sell them or what we can force or trick them into doing. It's done by caring about ethical choices, our decision genome, and shifting business goals, strategies, and initiatives to match our customers. Strategy 4, who we hire and company culture. There's been a trend to hire jacks of many trades thinking that'll save money. There's also a trend to have current staff get a little training in CX or UX and then have them stab at specialized CX work. Unfortunately, many people who just finished UX boot camps and online courses are often not ready for a junior UX job. So, should the product manager make wireframes? Should the business analyst interview customers? Should engineers delay their coding work to do design? I have an easy method to determine if we should give CX work to a product manager, engineer, or any other non-CX role. If you had an open CX or UX job at your company, would your non-CX role qualify for that job? No, they wouldn't qualify to work in CX or UX full-time at your company? Then we don't give them CX or UX tasks or work of any kind. A quality-driven organization understands that CX, UX, and every customer experience touchpoint are mission-critical work. Trying to retrofit the wrong person into important tasks is bad for process, product quality, and customer satisfaction. And efficiency. Teammates stopping what they're doing to guess at my work will get less of their own work done. A qualified CX expert will be more efficient at CX tasks than some other role stabbing at our work. It's one of many reasons why you don't hand me a DevOps book and then have me deploy a Kubernetes cluster. Instead, you hire I had a bug flying in my face. You hire an experienced DevOps professional. Giving important CX tasks to the wrong role is also bad for company culture because it tells me you think my work is so simple that anybody can do it, regardless of their skill or proficiency. If it's people over process, as we so often hear at our workplaces, we need to care about which people are doing which elements of the process. This forces an HR shift. We will need to hire more people and better qualified, talented people. Stop pulling people away from their specialty to have them guess at mission-critical work outside of their wheelhouse. Consider your workers who know we're building what the customer will see as garbage, but they're silent. This is a culture of fear and dishonesty, and it's hurting your company. Our culture must empower our workers and teams to stop the project train and speak up when we're creating garbage, rushing, or doing anything that would create customer dissatisfaction. Changing a product's direction now to create better outcomes and higher quality is a core part of Agile, Lean, and Six Sigma. CX welcomes research and testing that find problems in our concepts or designs. It's baked into our process. Improving the product earlier means saving a lot of time, money, and sanity later. So invest in a truly diverse, inclusive, and remote-friendly culture that prioritizes and rewards honesty, quality, and customer centricity. Embrace private, internal failures where we learned nice and early that our concept had flaws. Stop releasing guesses to the paying public. Plan for the time and budget individuals and teams need to create products and services that won't have to be fixed or undone later. That's the culture most companies claim to want, but few have. It's why changing who you've been hiring and your company culture is part of your strategic reinvention. Strategy 5. Metrics and accountability. Your company has probably been playing with shortcuts, claiming to be fast ways to solve problems or create innovations. These typically throw people in a room for days to design something by committee, get those sticky notes on walls, and wow, all of the solutions and innovations will just explode out of these people. These shortcuts are often called design thinking, design sprints, and lean UX. I call them aspirologies. I've got hours of content on the Delta CX YouTube channel on why they are destructive approaches, but I won't have time to cover that today. Here's the shortest version. People love to socialize that these shortcuts work. Well, define work. You'll hear that people enjoyed these workshops and it was fun to sketch solutions. These aspirologies have been trendy long enough now to have months or years of data. Who calculated what these workshops truly cost and what ROI they created? Did these workshops start with clear success criteria and metrics? That's rare. I've also noticed that these workshops don't exist in other domains. We don't drag people in for a 3-day workshop where everybody makes their own prioritized product roadmap. Or a week-long sticky note festival to brainstorm our approach to QA testing. We trust specialists in these areas to do their own work and make their own decisions. Why aren't we doing that with CX and UX? Someone knows how much time and money we're burning on trendy aspirologies. Someone knows how many industry-disrupting innovations design by committee workshops created at your company. But more often, someone has been hiding this from leaders and executives. Someone would rather declare them a success, keep doing them, and hope that nobody notices the wasted time and money. Well, that's not lean. Yet we claim that we want to hold people accountable. I've never been held accountable at any job that I've had. I'd like to be. Then leaders would have to look at what time and budget I got to define the experience the customer will have. A culture of fear and silence fights to retain its dinosaurs, high-ego bullies, and data manipulators. Somehow these people are protected and rarely fired. They and their decisions are not held accountable. Is it because nobody at our company knows what good work looks like? Do we want to reward the people who burn time, money, customer trust, and worker morale on shortcuts and rushing things out? It's time to put the metrics in place that will make it easier to hold teams, managers, and leaders accountable for failed projects, low quality, and customer dissatisfaction. Customers decide the quality of your products and services. There are many moments when you could learn that your proposed solution isn't a fit for your target customers, or that your strategies are outdated and going in the wrong direction. When would you like to learn that you're going in the wrong direction? You can learn early in the CX process, or you can learn it late after you release something flawed to the public. If your product makes people want to throw their computers or phones out the window, it won't matter what every agile coach or scrum master said. It won't matter what the highest paid person decided. The customer will tell you if your products and services meet their needs and are high or low quality. We can reduce defects and waste when we integrate CX and UX into our strategies from the start and learn earlier who customers are, their needs, tasks, and expectations, and if we're going in the right direction to deliver the 5-star quality that they expect. So in closing, the 5 strategies were: aim for 5-star products, services, and experiences. Be grounded in correctly executed qualitative research. Shift ethics and decisions to be more customer-centric. Take a closer look at who you're hiring to do mission-critical work. And put metrics in place to better assess projects and teams. Reward people for blowing early whistles on bad processes and bad projects. Hold accountable the people who make workers into fearful, silent assembly line robots. There are many more strategies and tactics I would like to suggest, but I was out of time for the length of the conference workshop I was writing. Prioritizing customer centricity is a business transformation, a cultural shift, a change to how budgets are decided and allocated. Change hiring, change how projects are prioritized and planned, change processes. Whether customer centricity sounds like a small, medium, or large transformation, let's get working on it. Creating quality and value for customers isn't optional. And scene. That's it. So let's switch back over to a giant picture of me. Hello, everybody. And I'm now going to go back and read the chat room and take questions live and see what people are talking about. Let's see. Oz says, ouch, they know they're building junk. Yeah, Oz, I have found that if you speak to many people inside companies when their bosses aren't listening, so UX and CX people, developers and other engineers, QA testers, sometimes even product managers or project managers, they often know that what they are building is not right for the customer, but they feel like our company values speed and efficiency and productivity. And if I stop and say something now, I might be seen as someone who is not part of that cool club. So boo. And Gavin says, indeed, happens all the time. Gavin, good to see you. Again, I saw you last week, I think. Oz said, y'all are making me sad. Now, I think y'all is me. So I'm sorry, Oz. Sometimes I've got to set some things on fire and speak some truths in the hopes that we're going to make some changes and have some of these difficult conversations at work. I feel like we're not going to get anywhere if we don't open up difficult conversations and talk about these things and talk about real solutions. We can all keep saying ethics suck and hiring's messed up and whatever, but if we don't talk about what to do instead, then we're just yapping. And that's why I think there's been a lot of inaction. That's my opinion. Let's see. Oz also says, sales and marketers have become the most entitled people. I fear they aren't dinosaurs. With our data so accessible without our consent, without laws and penalties, these people just get more entitled. And yeah, you're very right. And if we had ethics, then that wouldn't be happening. I think sales and marketers are very often the most powerful people at companies. They, greenlight projects, they kill projects, they often control budgets. And I think that needs to be distributed a little bit more to other realms. I know very often companies credit sales and marketing with any sales that were made or money that comes in, but there's really more people to credit. Your product team, your CX and UX team, the engineers, it's really not just sales and marketing. So I think if companies wake up and start to take a look at that and start to value more of the teams a little more equally, hopefully we can get rid of some of the dinosaurs and the dinosaur behaviors. Jason says, hire a bug, but I don't know what that means. Like an actual insect? I'm not too sure what you're going for here. And Oz again. So thank you, Oz, for being very active today. One strategy should be spend a month in customer service and hear the customers who are pissed, crying, confused, etc. Then they become people and not a cartoon created by metrics. Totally agree. Very often in CX and UX, we are trying to get people to either observe the research that we do where we're speaking to customers or observing them, or watch the videos later, because usually we've recorded that research and can show it to people later. And then we do find that sometimes that wakes up the management and leader and execs who tend to only care about money or metrics. They don't always have a big heart. They don't always have empathy. They don't always care about the user. But hopefully we can wake them up to the reality of where our customers are meeting the 4 horsemen of bad UX, my registered trademark: frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. So, agree. So there you go. So I'm happy to hang out a little bit more if people have other questions. I don't know if LinkedIn told everybody that I was live. Did that happen again today? Did we go live? Okay, good. LinkedIn did tell people I'm live. Maybe they're still on their extended Thanksgiving break. No, there's 7 people here. Let's say hi to some of them. Let's see. We've got Catherine and Gwen and Fahim and Gavin, of course, and a very great picture of Daniel. So thanks to those, we've got 8 on LinkedIn, and I think we had 5 or 6 on YouTube. So we've got a good small group today. And again, I'm happy to take any questions about this, especially if you want to talk about some of the things that are going on at your workplace related to these things. But again, this is a higher level strategic presentation that I'm hoping will open up conversations with management leaders and executives, because I believe what's at the core of a lot of this is executives don't even know this is going on. Executives are hearing projects are on time and on budget, people are working efficiently, this is great. And they're not learning the realities of where money is being wasted, time is being wasted, and workers are not being utilized well, and things like that. Catherine in LinkedIn is asking, how do you make an organization realize that they need change and look more at CX and UX? Super question. I'd put it on the screen, but I can only put YouTube questions up on the screen. But thank you, Catherine. So I believe that where a lot of this, it probably has to start. I mean, there's ultimately many ways to try to do this, but to me, there's 2 key ways. One is very often the company is going to have to feel a lot of pain. Something's going to have to go really, really wrong, and someone's finally going to have to wake up and go, we're not making customers happy. We are spending too much time delaying projects, fixing things, reworking and redoing things. Someone is going to have to wake up and see that, because I believe right now, as I said in the presentation, too often these fixes and their budgets are being swept under the rug and hidden in other budgets so that we could kind of make these invisible and not have to admit that our original project was a mess. So thing one, the company is probably going to have to feel a lot of pain, get stuff wrong, and have that moment of awareness or that wake-up call that we're getting this wrong way too much. Other than that, it's going to be some very smart, brave person calculating all of this. And even whether or not the company is going through these things, though pretty much all of them are, someone's going to have to do the math and say, you know, we burnt this much on engineering last year, fixing things, redoing things. So even if the company doesn't have the pain of of customers leaving, I mean, really, when you see customers leaving, that should be the wake-up call. That's number one. But I think that without the wake-up call of we have to fix this too much, our reviews are bad, our app reviews are bad, our customers are leaving, someone's got to do the math and say, here's what we're spending to break it, and here's what we're spending to fix it. And guess what? That's not cool. We read a book for startups that said that was cool, but guess what? When we start to talk about millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars or more, it's not cool. It's not cool to break things or fail fast in the public eye where we are unleashing this garbage on our customers. So I think a lot of the start is going to be one of those 2 things. Someone notices the pain in customers leaving, bad reviews, sales can't sell it, marketing can't market it, or someone does the math and says, oh, holy cats, we could save so much time and money if we tried something different. Gwen says, in response to my repeated suggestions that we do usability question, my brain went crazy there for a moment. Let's read that again. Gwen says, in response to my repeated suggestions that we do usability testing, I had a client say, we'll sell them some blah, 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 and then find out what they don't like. Absolutely. That is very, very typical at so many companies. And that's the kind of company that's going to need to experience one of these 2 ugly epiphanies. Either the pain of they couldn't sell it, because again, that quote assumes that we can sell this. I have worked at companies where sales has come to me and said, I can't sell this anymore. It looks too outdated. It is too outdated. It doesn't have the features the competitors have. We're behind. So that company might wake up when they can't sell it. But again, it's sad that it comes to that. It's sad that these companies just don't care about customers and hang up on the wall, the customer's always right, and we care about customers, and we have so much empathy, we create empathy. They don't care. I hope that client wakes up when they're having trouble selling it, or they're seeing an exodus of customers in some way. Oz says, one thing I experienced, show management hard data that what they think is wrong, but I've also gotten a target on my back for being a troublemaker. Yeah, for sure. And in general, UX and CX workers are that sort of troublemaker. I call it lawyer-like advocacy. We are going to have to fight for the things that people are trying to sweep under the rug. We are the people who will say the emperor isn't wearing any clothes, and that means we don't always make a mountain of friends at our jobs, but it still has to be done. So I think that there are ways to show data and calculations that of the time and money and customer trust that we are losing and burning. I think those are tangible, palpable, calculable. Someone help me with the Latin there. We don't have to tell management they were wrong. I think the softest way to say this is the information management has is outdated. That doesn't say you're wrong. It says maybe once upon a time you were right, but now we've done some fresh math and we've learned that what we thought was okay or passable, or what we thought was an okay way to go, like Gwen says, we'll just sell it to them and find out later what they think. Outdated. We used to do that when we didn't care about the customer, but now if we're going to claim customer centricity, empathy, any of these things, the customer's right, customer satisfaction, if we claim to care about any of those, we have to change. We have to change what we're doing. We can't keep doing the old things the old ways. Any other questions or comments? I love today's comments and questions, especially from the LinkedIn room. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for the claps. Who else has just joined? Raju, thank you so much for that. Any other comments or questions? I'm happy to take them. Normally we do an hour show. If we don't have comments or questions, I'll end early and file this away in the YouTube archives, where you'll be able to find it both in the live stream podcasts and in the micro lessons and conference sessions, since it is technically both. It's one of my conference sessions that I do. Also, I want to remind people, now that we've had the last podcast of the year, we're going to have a little awards show and contest. So throughout December, please vote for your favorite streams this year, your favorite guests, your favorite topics. I should have put favorite commenter, because then Oz can win. I think maybe I'll just give it to Oz. But go to deltacx.link/vote. Yes, even if you're listening to the audio only out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Audible, you are welcome to come vote for what was your favorite episodes and guests and topics. I would love to hear that from you. And then in January, we'll have some goofy awards show where you get my acclaim. Let's see. Oz says, you should highlight that at some time as part of the role, it's not easy being the person who's seen as, what bullshit have you uncovered now? Yeah, we know that. We live that. That's part of our jobs all the time. We know that's not easy, and many of us go into the job knowing that that's going to be part of the UX or CX job. A friend of mine who works in marketing said that she always brings the honest truth to her clients, even when it's usually the news they didn't want to hear. And she would show up with big PowerPoint decks with metrics they weren't going to like. And she said one client started calling her the angel of death. And I think UX can be very much like that as well at companies. And Oz says it's easy to keep getting a paycheck when you're cooperative. I think any CX or UX person who doesn't have some lawyer-like advocacy or change agent in their blood is probably not going to last very long in UX, because typically they will end up being manipulated by other departments and domains, and they will end up an order taker. And in many of my other talks, I have slides where I talk about the difference between being an order taker, or what I call a short order cook, and being an interface scientist, where you're going to be more of a change agent. And of course, this is why I always say we should be low ego action heroes. We've got to have low ego, but we have to create action, positive action, well thought out action. We can't just bend to whatever the stakeholders or high-paid people are saying. That is not going to be long-lasting success. Let's see, we've got a question from LinkedIn, and I just wanted to see who it was coming from, and it's Catherine. Hello, Catherine. How do you normally start a CX or UX change project? That's great. Great question. I don't think there's one answer or even one right answer. I think that really depends on where that's coming from. Is that an initiative that's coming down from executives who are looking for this type of change? Is it something you're trying to initiate from the ground up and the worker bee world up? I think it really depends. It's obviously much better when it comes down from executives, leaders, managers who are allocating time and budget to fix and improve these processes. But very often that's not happening. One angle I think we can take, and we talked about this in an earlier podcast on DevOps, was that if you get to know DevOps is the side of engineering that cares about operations. But a lot of what they care about is culture. DevOps is very, very dedicated to improving culture around engineering. I think they know some of the things I'm complaining about, like we can't just be order-taking robots. So I believe that a possible good ally is DevOps, if your company has that, maybe an engineering lead, but I usually start with some people in engineering trying to look at, hey, you're probably working less efficiently than you think. You're probably delaying projects to fix old projects. Everyone probably knows we're releasing garbage that's going to have to be fixed later. We're probably not prioritizing some of the backlog right, and we didn't build what the customer defines as quality. Maybe we built what Agile defined as technical quality, but it's not what the customer liked. So, hey, engineers, I can save you time, money, and sanity by adding a little bit more of our process up front. It's going to save you mountains later. And maybe they'll be like, oh, tell me more. I also think that we can create better relationships with marketing. Very often marketing is doing things we should be doing. They're A/B testing stuff where B is a guess. They're trying to do our corporate websites when they're not website experts. And again, marketing, like sales, very often has a big hold on budgets and executive ears. I think if we can connect more with marketing and help them achieve their goals when their goals are reasonable and not pooping on the customer, then we can end up being in a good position there as well. Because if we can help marketing achieve their goals, hopefully they will be magnanimous and say, thanks to CX and UX for working with us on this initiative, and look what we got done. So these are a few places to start. And of course, also your own manager, sending them videos like this and saying, we need change. Our jobs are messed up. Our processes are messed up. Our company went for speed over quality, and there's just no substitution for quality. And that we need to slow down a little bit and improve our processes, because the speed over quality thing has been going on long enough that we can now measure that it really doesn't work. So that would be my medium-sized thoughts on that. While I wait to see if there are any other questions, let everybody know what's coming up on this channel in the coming weeks. There won't be any more podcasts with episode numbers, but there will still be live streams that you can tune into. Tomorrow, of course, is Office Hours Ask Us Anything with special guests Darren Hood and Dr. Nick Fine. I even bought a lightning thing for them. What do you think? There you go. That'll be for them. Let's see, Wednesday, not doing a thing. Thursday and Friday, hey, last chance. Thursday and Friday is finally the Acture course I've been talking about for 2 months. So this is your last chance to get on board with that. deltacx.link/DEC2020. It's only $60, and we'll be doing that this week, and then you won't hear me talk about it ever again, and I'll erase that graphic. Next week, super exciting. Mark your calendars. Larry Marine is coming on live. And we are going to do a live mural board adventure. You don't need a mural account, and it's going to be anonymous, and you are going to learn all about his style of task analysis. He says it's like jobs to be done on steroids, so you definitely want to come learn that. Again, if you miss these, check the YouTube archives. That one will be in the micro lessons playlist. Tuesday the 8th, office hours, ask me anything. Wednesday the 9th, I'm going to do a micro lesson on visual hierarchy, priority of information, and trust signals. I'm going to riff it, but it's going to be fun. I did it recently for another group, so I'm just going to riff it again. I think it was great. I'm happy with it. Monday the 14th, I'm going to do a micro lesson, slightly riffed, on what is user-centered design versus design thinking versus double diamond. So we can take a look at some of these different processes, and you can start to gravitate towards the one that is best for you. What else? The 15th, office hours, ask me anything. And then I think that's it for scheduled stuff, except I'm going to continue to do, a few more things. 22nd, 29th, office hours, ask me anything. And finally, Wednesday, the 30th of December, live mural board adventure for our 2021 personal and career goals. It'll be anonymous, so you can speak freely if you'd like. And I think it would just be fun to get together and look at some of our goals, steal from each other's goals, someone said, and come up with where we're all trying to go next year, even though we might still be staying home. So that is that's the schedule for this. Any other questions about the strategies to reinvent the customer experience? If not, we'll see you tomorrow for office hours, ask me anything, but I'll give you one more minute in case anybody has last questions. Nope. Maybe. Yes. Slightly. No. Okay, so maybe no questions, but that's great. So thank you again for all the great questions and comments today. Again, I hope this was a presentation you enjoyed. I hope you will show your management and leaders and executives and get it up the chain, because again, I think that there's a lot going on, especially related to the products that we're building, that executives don't know. They're just getting reports that say on time, on budget, it was great. And everything's being hidden or lied about, and we've got to change that. So let's start having the tough conversations. So thanks again to all the low ego action heroes for tuning in, and I will hopefully catch you tomorrow at office hours, ask me anything. And of course, let me put this up on the screen quickly. If you'd like to send in your questions early, oops, wrong place. Let's try this again. Yeah. If you'd like to send in your questions early, you can. deltacx.link/AMA. That link works all week round. I already got 2 questions today, so send it in and you will be on the list of questions that I'll answer first. So I will play us out of here. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out. Have a great rest of your Monday, and see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Delta CX is available for consulting and projects related to CX and UX strategy, leadership, training, problem finding, problem solving, and innovation. Learn more at deltacx.com.